All right, guys, how we doing? It's Sam here with you. It's Tuesday, the 15th of January, and as it's a Tuesday, we're looking at traditional assets. So, a little polling here this morning, and by request here, first up is the Nasdaq. I've got the continuous futures contract on here. Now, we had looked at this, I don't know, maybe a week or so ago, and now we've had some change to the structure here, so worth an update. But just for a quick review here, the first, excuse me, the first ABC down here. Boy, that's hard to see anything other than just a completed ABC. You can see it was rather nice technically. So A, we come for the B, we get into that sweet spot between the 50 and the 618, and we rip right to target. Now here's the reaction. Now, if you look here, all right, so we do it again, so we get the ABC, then we get another three-wave structure. We get about the same distance. We split the 50 and the 618, down we go, but we don't make target this time. So if you so you always have the challenge. You have to make a decision because it doesn't make it here, right? Do we move it, right, or do we leave it? Right. So if you leave it, look what we do. We come right back to the 50. I mean, damn near to the tick and rip all the way here. We the little stutter at first target, right to second target. So you have to look at that. So something finished here. Now, it's just, you got choices, right? You pull here. Well, there's a 50. Is anything different here? Well, we don't. I mean, the only difference being that we don't make the second target. It's always a bit of a challenge is to, again, we never really know what they're using until we see the reaction, until we see something line up just perfectly. Then we can say, I know what they did, where it is, where it moved last. Always this challenge, which pivot, which pivot. So because they don't make it here and that's far enough, I would be more inclined to leave it there. So I think this finishes us. Well, if that's the case, then something's done down here. Now, we had been looking at this. There were a couple of ways this could have played. One thought was that this was 3. We were going up here into a 4. We were looking at the 618 as a kind of a last stand for a 4 to come down and complete this in 5. So if we were going to get something other than or a much deeper retracement, if this X wave is correctly identified, right? I mean, if we were going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of an A wave, well, that was very ominous in terms of much lower prices here. So now if we look at this, remember a WXY is just connecting two ABCs. Well, how do we not notice that? All right, so if that's just completed down here, another ABC, well, then this WXY is done. Now, I'm not quite ready to go there yet because we're not. This is a rather difficult count because it's, well, we'll get in there in a second here. It's just a couple of things to consider. If this ABC is done, yet you can get 5 coming down here. Now, you got to put it in the context of where that would put us. Let's see if I can do this. 12-hour. Why here? Right? Why? And it's always the question. Why does it stop there? What's there? Let's see if I can even get it here scrunched up. I may not be able to do it. Yeah. Well, there we go. Okay. So if I just dominant, right? So obviously what's the dominant pull? So from the low prior to the move up, pretty damn close. Right, is it the 50? Is that why we stopped there? Look how close we are. Let's see, now it's going to be a little askew here. So on an 8-hour, let's pull this off here so you can see that. That's pretty damn close, right? So a front run, pull that away so you can see. So, that's 58.21 and the 50s at 57.90. I'm on a 12-hour chart. It's hard not to think of that as a front run on the 50. Right, so that's always, you got to come back to always. Why does it stop there? Right, nothing happens randomly. So potentially that's just your front run on the 50 as to why you have algorithms kicking in here and driving this higher. All right, you can always justify it and back into it and say, oh, well, then traded deals with China is improving. There's always a way to talk yourself into, oh, I understand why we're moving higher. I'll tell you why we're moving higher, because an algorithm kicked in there and started to buy it. Okay, so now we're going to run into an algo on the way back up. Now, one thing, and this just comes from doing this for a lot of years, one thing that I know that they like is they like the alternating pivot. So if we look here, so this is where we left it last time we looked. We were here pulling, maybe there's a 4. We'll look at this. We've just broken the 65. Right, so the idea was maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. This is starting to break down. So even though that's a very slight break here, and we're not through it with conviction here, just the break alone is a bit of a tell. But you've got to remember this, right? So when they're this close, particularly, they like the alternating pivots. Right? So whoever's coding this tends to be something that is how about I phrase it that way? The alternating pivot here tends to get good response. So you can see from the higher pivot here. So if you were just thinking of this as an ABC, it's from the, let me get it right on there, right? From the higher pivot, what did we just run into, right? So always the question, why? Why did we stop there? Right, well, that's why, right? We just tagged the 618. Now, it's from the secondary pivot, not the first one. The first one has broken now, officially broken. So you can see, right? So it's just enough to be, well, you got to check this one. If that breaks, you got to go back to this one. Although this one, you're at the start of this structure here. So the fact that this stays internal here, this would be the dominant, right? But you'd have to check that. And then you got to get the all the way, right? Of course, we got to get the all the way. So we got to look here. Well, where are we going? This one's, that's close enough. Where are we going? Well, we're about to run into the 50 of the all the way halfway back. So look what we've got here. All right, we're just stuck between two 50s. Really. The all the way, that's the dominant, right? Here's our pivot. That's from the pivot before we went up. So we're just stuck in a range between two 50s. Now, who wins? Well, that's where some of this Elliott structure here can be helpful. Right now, it looks like this is a completed WXY. So, and part of this is a little funky here in the X, but because this clear 5, you can't go, so you have the 3 wave here. So you're thinking, you might at first glance think, oh, WXY? But so then this would be AB, right? And that doesn't work because you've got a clear 5 here. So I think higher odds here is that we've gone A, B, C into the X wave, and now there's a pretty strong case for this being completed down here, this X having finished. Now, we have the possibility we get the double, so we get the combination, so we'd have WXY, XZ, right? We'd need another ABC. No way to predict that here, other than this is not a very clear count. Coming off of this, a lot of mixed signals here. So let's go to the 60. Take a look here. This is very hard to get any clear subdivision. Now, there's a few little bits here. So coming off of the, coming off of that low. Now here's the front run on the proposed, the front run on the 50 on the proposed C wave. Yeah, it's interesting. It's technical. So it looks like you get a 1-2 here. And what's interesting, and the reason I lean into that is the 1 here. Is that hard for you guys to see? Let me open that up. So you can see that a little bit better here. So it does, right? So what do you do here? This is your low, but is this a failed move down here? This is some sort of a 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What does that look like? Looks like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, all of them with that little failed move. But you would certainly pull off of the low. So let's get that right on there. Look at that. So we go, if that's 1, 2, so this is your best retracement. So if that's the 1 here, what do? There's 50 to the tick, right where you're looking for. Well, it didn't even hesitate to get through the first algo token. It goes right to third, which implies that's a 3 because we know that's going to be very close to the 1618. Based off of this. So then you're thinking, okay, maybe I've got a 1, 2, 3. Well, what happens in the 4, right? So I promise you that's not random. So when we come down, we hold it but to the tick, right? We do not overlap. That does not happen randomly. So let me get that right on there. You should probably have the magnet on there. But so look, it's spared by a tick, right? And then they rip it up. Now, if you look in here, this looks like a good 3 just for that same reason that I just showed you here. So if I use the absolute low, if that's correctly identified, that's our 1, 2. Well, here's the highest probability zone for a 3 is right here. That's right where we go. We get just a couple of ticks through it. So it's hard to see anything other here than a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the tell. We don't overlap and we rip up. You know, how do you get subdivided? I'm on a 1 hour. Well, you're going to probably have to dig it out there. So it looks like you get a 3, 4, 5. This looks more like, right, we double top, although we get a slight expansion here. So it looks like we've got an expanded flat. Can't say I love the C, but I don't see another way to count that. So this looks like a fairly solid A, B, C that completes us. So where would that put us? Well, if that's A, B, well, we want to pay attention to where that is Get that off here. So what's the depth look like here? So from my absolute low, if that A is done, doesn't quite make the 50. All right, so why? What's there? What's there? Is it structure? It's not a great looking C wave. Front run on the 50? Probably likely, right? So if you look at what followed, most likely that's the front run on the 50. So that makes you think A, B, C. All right, so it all teed up, except the kicker today has you wondering about the count here. So we know we've just bumped into the 618 from that secondary pull. I'll recreate that if need be. But if you're looking here now, A, B, now how do we finish this in C, right? So it was all teed up just beautifully. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we're still going. So only two possibilities here. Either the 3 is not complete here, but I can't get... This looks more impulsive. This doesn't look like anything other than perhaps some sort of diagonal. So from the 4, this is quite good here. So you start looking. So, okay, what probabilities? Where are we most likely to find the 4? Between the 23 and the 38. I got a nice little low volume here. I got structure, right? Look at all, don't forget to check what else is there. Right, so we've got prior resistance becomes the support. Well, if we're going into the 5, how are we finishing there? I certainly can't, so you can't get an impulse out of that. You can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't work, right? So this, I keep this as the 3, and it looks like we're in some sort of a diagonal here. But it's not done yet. So I get A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. Not clear, right? So not clear enough to really lean into a trade there. So if that's 1, 2, then we got a lot more to go here if we're going to go 3, 4, and 5 up here. So this would move higher, but we're starting to get... So you can look at here just in terms of the distance and the symmetry here. So think about that. So, so this is what's making this difficult to get a handle on. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Right? Is that right? That's going to be just too crazy. It just doesn't look like, it looks like we're into something else here. So because that's just that's right. It's all wrong. All right. So what's the alternate? So you want to go, so your eye wants to do this. So this is what you want. You want to go, come back here. Trading view. So if that's the 1, 2, so then your next thought is, well, can I finish this anywhere else? So, well, there's no other place. There's no other retracement that's deep enough. So this is, God damn it. Sorry, guys. God, that annoys me. So if that's 1, 2, you want to go 3, 4, 5. Right? That's what your eye wants to see, but you can't, the subdivision doesn't work. You can't make that fit. You can't get this, you can't get an impulse out of that. So if that's 1, 2, where's your next 2? You'd have to go 1, 2, right? You can't get an impulse. It's just not there. So what's an alternate? Could we go, so the whole thing, well, now it starts to look more and more bullish. Well, wait a minute. If this is 1, 2, if I can't get this to work as a 3, but I've got this is a fairly solid 4. So something's off. Something's not right. Right? 1, 2, that's too shallow. And then you're still going to have a problem here for the 3. So then you go, oh, shit, all right, what's left? Could this all just be 1 or all just be C? If it's a C, well, we can have a diagonal. So maybe we've got this. So maybe you're just in A, B going up for the C. And this is all just part of that. So this would be the A, B, C that's correcting. So then you'd look here and you'd think, okay, well, so this pivot, if that's something significant here, this is the only, so look how this pretty retrace is here. All right, so maybe that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A. All right, would be very skinny B or 2, but it plays better as a B going into a C because I can't go 1, 2, 3. It's just not there. Right? I don't have an impulse. Even if I want 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't have an impulse. So maybe I can go this way. So maybe I can go from here. I can definitely get an A, B, C here. So let's get that in yellow. Get that down a bit. So A, B, 1, 2, 3. right, so this is where I left it, because again, if I'm that uncertain, no trade as far as I'm concerned. I don't know where we are. I can't see it. There's no, could we dig something out here? Yeah, but you're trying to force fit. If it's not right, the Elliott wave is best when it's just staring you in the face. You almost can't miss it. If you're working this hard, just what are we on, a 60, even going down to the 15-minute, it's just not clear. So you got to pull back out and go, all right, whoa. All right, where are we in the bigger picture? I can't get a count here that I'm comfortable with. All right, maybe someone else, maybe there's an Elliottician out there who has got a clear count on this. I think that's going to be challenging, right? So it would be subject to a lot of subjectivity in terms of where we are here, because the rule set is problematic. So even looking at a distance, it looks like this is the start of something that's finishing. So if I just look in here, it looks like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is going in to finish something up here. I can move it without moving the whole thing. So you're left with this mess. Okay, so if this finishes in 5, boy, we're going to have to back into that as to what that's going to be. If we get this move here, if this finishes and we get that 5, well, where's that putting us? Well, we're just bumping into the 50. Right, so here, and then you think, maybe there's some geometry. Well, it's not clean and right where you'd like to see it. So you can make the case here that there's your corner pocket from the low. It wasn't golden, but we're here and we don't quite, let's get it right on there. Pretty close here, but now as we're drifting away, well, then your thought, so this is likely here, this is your corner pocket move right there, so there's your 80%, but we're still going, but we're drifting away. So that you got two choices. One, you could just go to a channel. You look at some of the modifiers. So you might tee it up this way and say, okay, well, that pivot was significant and we're staying in this channel. So far, so good. We're in this channel. So this is we can start projecting up there. Let's get this off. This is, it's just kind of a mess in there. So this all you're looking for, maybe dominant pivots. So maybe I can work from this. I can use my fib swings here. Now we're just approaching the 100. 1618 would put you, that's a lot for a C relative to where we've been, but not unheard of, not crazy in terms of, but it all kind of tees you back up to, is this an ABC that's correcting part of, are we going to have the WXYXZ? So you're looking to declare this as some sort of a corrective wave, because it does not look impulsive. So the setup there is that we're just going into, this is an ABC into an X wave. We're going to go high for the X wave. So we want to see that. We want to see some distance here. We want a deeper retracement for that X wave here, and we're just, we've just gotten a little bit of a baby wick through that 65. So that would be encouraging as a potential X wave. But there's just the subdivision is just squirrely enough that it's kind of a crapshoot. You don't have enough clarity to say, oh, I have a high probability zone, so I can take a trade with reasonable risk reward, knowing where I'm wrong. Where is this? Where's the 3? Where's the C? It's too iffy to really pursue anything that would be aggressive, right? So right now, we're ripping right off the low. They got good numbers this morning. The market liked it. You've seen this reaction, but you're right in you're just coming into all sorts of resistance. So you wouldn't necessarily want to be chasing along here. But the short isn't really setting up either. So if you're not in the market, you're kind of stuck. Waiting. You need more information. I need a deeper pivot. Well, here's the only decent retracement I've had as this thing has gone, is this one. So that makes you think, and we dug the 5 out of here, so that makes you think A, B, C, because this does not look like a 3. Now maybe, right, when we have more information, we know where the next pivot is, we can back into it based on how this finishes. All right, let's get this off, because that's me speculating here. So where are we in the count? So even at a 15-minute, it's just not easy to spot it. A, B. So I mean, at least here you get a deeper retracement, but relative. So this still looks like that's 5 going up. So this looks like 5. This looks like 5, but I can't go 1, 2, 3. So I still think that's ABC. And we're in some sort of a diagonal to set this up. There's just no other clean way to look at that. So if you're not in the market, I don't know that I'd be, well, you certainly wouldn't want to be buying here right into the, yeah, I know we got to tick through it, but you wouldn't want to be buying right into the golden zone of the 100 just on the other side. So your best case here would be to wait. Let's go back to a 60 and wait for some sort of a retracement of any significance. So you can just be a bit more solid. I know that's a lot on there. It's hard to see. So let's pull that off. Okay, so I want to see what kind of reaction, if we're going to get up there, what happens at the 50? Right? Would that make sense if we finish this here? A, B, C at the 50, well, right, you know there's going to be selling pressure there. We can say that with a high degree of certainty. That doesn't mean that that's where, that doesn't necessarily mean that we do this and we're headed back down. But you can see it right here. Here's 150, here's the other 50. What's this? Doesn't look impulsive, right? There's parts of it that look impulsive, but the entire thing, the entire structure does not look like a 1, 2, 3. So you got to be a little cautious here. Again, anything in the indexes, you got enough chaos in the background. How about we say it that way? Right, you got enough chaos that you have to be a little bit, I would not be taking things overnight that were not hedged. That's just me. I've traded options for a long time. So I would hedge anything that I was in because there's just not enough here to be balls to the wall, bullish or bearish. It's just not clear. So if you're trading it, I'd be careful about doing anything without some sort of a hedge. It could be a stop, but I would if you're in options or if you're in this in any way, I'd be careful about. All right, so we have good volatility, so option sellers, there's good opportunity here, but I would certainly want everything hedged, right? So if you're selling, make it a credit spread. If you're buying, maybe look to offset a sell somewhere else to offset the cost because you just don't have enough clarity here. All right, well, I'm droning on. I've said that enough times. All right, so what do we know? We don't have clarity. All right, let's see what happens at the 50. All right, let's see. I'll be back. I've got one more. I'll be back with a look at crude. All right, guys, trade safely out there. Okay, back in a bit.